And you always remember that. No matter what, whatever God has for you is for you. Now, I know Kennetha Patterson. I always call her Little Rebel. I call her the Little Rebel. She always brings the Monday's motivation.
Yes.
And even like I said, today is Friday, but whatever God has laid on her heart, I know that she's going to speak it, and she's going to speak what thus said the Lord, because that's the type of spirit she has. That's the type. So we must keep that in mind. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to our host, Kennetha Patterson.
Good morning, everybody.
Good
It's
morning.
an amazing day,
Yes,
and
it
I'm
is.
so excited in the Lord. Like Miss Charlesetta said, I always love to listen to her. That's why I don't interrupt her at all, because I just love to hear her speak. And it's always going to be in alignment with what
Yes.
the Holy Spirit is doing, and that's
That's
what we
right.
are totally about at I Have a Testimony podcast, and we are rooted in Jeremiah 29 and
That's right.
11. For God knows the plans He has for us, and nobody can do anything with that. So Monday's motivation is going to be totally different today, and I wanted to play a video, which it's always training ground, right? Because we gotta know how to operate this system for next week when we have the
That's right.
rest of the people. So here we go. We're gonna test this thing out. So what I'm gonna bring, a friend sent me this. I don't know if she knew what I was going through this morning or not. And this is a person that I am praying is one of our future board members.
Okay.
Her name is Brandy Du Bois, and we went to high school together. And I've always, I think it was how you hear love at first sight type of thing. That's what it was automatically with her. I consider her one of my sisters.
Right.
And she's really a true person that I see. She's going through her own thing in the kingdom, and she reaches out to encourage me while she behind the scenes is dealing with the double mastectomy.
And
hard, being treated harshly in the healthcare system. So I know she understands the plight, and like I said, prayerfully, I'm always praying and interceding for this person as well, because of what they're going through. And I see, that's what the visionary part of me is. I see what a person is as the jewel that they are. So without further ado, it might be already started a little bit, but I hope y'all catch what it's saying. Just a moment. She specifically tagged me and was like, I thought you might need to hear this. And that ain't nothing but God. And that's what we talking about today. It's nothing but God.
Nothing but God.
So hold up in just a second.
Okay.
Okay, it's up there. So that's it. Hopefully that could play. Bear with me. I don't know.
If one has faith, all things have meaning.
But why would a loving God allow these tragedies to happen? Does the Lord, as Mr. Frank suggests, want us to suffer?
I asked for strength, and God gave me difficulties to make me strong. I asked for wisdom, and God gave me problems to solve. I asked for courage, and God gave me dangers to overcome. I asked for love, and God gave me troubled people to help. My prayers were answered.
So hopefully, I don't know if y'all got to hear that or not, but it was talking about how a person can ask for help from God, and going through the obstacles and tribulations that come with that prayer. God did answer your prayer by, whatever it is that you asked about, and he took you through it to be able to know that he answered that thing, even though it might be hard in the interim, but he took you through it on purpose.
That's right. That's right.
To be able to go through it. I'm not quite sure. I had a lot of things that I want to share on the screen, but we're going to still talk about it. I don't see how exactly to share, and I don't know if y'all got to see that or not. Again, I hope you got to hear, and I'll post it on the I Have a Testimony page to make sure that the people via video or Facebook land and YouTube can see it.
Because it was awesome.
Yeah.
It really was
and
awesome.
We have still, even if we're not in the studio, we have still an international viewing. We are heard now on iHeartRadio. We are heard now on Spotify through the podcast mechanism, and also like how we go virtual. And what I want to talk about, it's a very hard subject to talk about. What we're going to talk about today, but it's dynamic Black history right now. It's stemming from the state of Tennessee, which my story we talk about here on I Have a Testimony all the time about being homeless with my family of 4 separate times. We've gone through the different back avenues of social services and trying to collaborate in our community with no avail, to the point where it makes silos in the Black community. And the silo part for me is a separation of, I want to say it's a technical divide, and also it is a people with lived experience type of divide. So really, when those two should be married together as one thing, and that brings you to real solutions regarding housing. And I think that it is a crisis here in Tennessee that is still swept under the rug. As we know, we talking about history, nothing new under the sun. We have seen it historically before, where it's just swept under the rug. Whatever people want to do in the background, they do to their own benefit. And so what I saw, and I did a video earlier, and I want to say, I told Miss Charlesetta that I prayed before this that it would not be myself talking, because, and I don't want to say, even though it's something that would enrage a person, I do not feel distracted. I do not feel, I want to say that visceral sin of anger. I do not feel any of that. I do feel that we are in a time of being living epistles, and we do have to tell the story. What part you play in the story is of your own choice. So when we go back to tell the story, it's no, like Ms. Charlesetta said, it's our own opinions, but at the same time, it is factual, what we have lived through and experienced with those harmful social services. With myself, that's why I speak out on poverty and homelessness, because I've seen the background, and I've seen my friends living in their cars and still going to work, still trying to build their nonprofits and their whatever business that they have, trying to build it. Even a lot of us collaborating. And another thing I saw within that collaboration space in building partnerships is the fact that when we fill out requests for proposals, when we fill out surveys, when we fill out anything trying to participate in the economic health of our own cities and states, what happens, and this has happened to us several times, so to the fact you cannot remiss the fact that it continually happens in a cycle and patterns. But what happens is, and me, I started to learn how to, you know, how when you're fishing, it's a strategy even down to fishing. So, and you could go and look at any of the documents that I put out about Visionaries Incorporated. You're going to see in our story that we want to teach people how to fish so that they never hunger again. And so within that, it's like, the people, I only give so much where you just have so much, but you need me and the other people involved, collaboration, right? Community collaboration. You need the stakeholders in order to carry out what we propose. And we have become so intelligent about it, and power map, where we know the key players that are blocking our every move. Um, and that's what this is about. I'm getting there about what it's about. And we see very clearly, we have seen our language inside of large proposals that come forth for $50 million, right? And that's just one example. But I can guarantee you, just like I went and looked at the grant for the request for proposals, it is written in such a manner where I never could have applied for it in the first place. So I'm gonna pause right there because I need people to get that. It's written in such a manner that I never would have qualified anyway. And that goes to show exactly that is proof of what I said about how the barriers are in place to keep us from funding. Because guess what's going to happen? Once we do put our blueprint out there, right? It is a blueprint from people with lived experience. We know what's missing because we lived it. We've been in those trenches. And what I call our organization, we are underneath grassroots because the grassroots organizations get all the funding to keep the problem going, and they benefit from it. And that's something that I speak on. I will put at your own leisure to watch in the chat the video that I wanted to show, because I don't want to go back and try to share this again, and I don't really, I'm gonna have to do some test runs on operating this now, I see. But that's just the thing. In life, you have to learn how to, when you're navigating, it's ways to navigate and get where you need to get. It's just a thing of observation and trial and error. So you want to go back and kind of look at where you came from. Because I hear a lot of people, a lot of times, telling people to basically be quiet and don't tell what you're going through. They look at it as a weakness. No, to me, that is a building block to be able to see exactly what you need to see when you talk it through and talk it out. I think that's the most powerful thing in this healing space that we're in this season to do, is really talk it out and be able to have those conversations that are taboo. And, you know, really people don't want you talking about it because guess what? They're going to be exposed in the interim of, you know, what they got going on. And that's just what it is. It's time for that to be spoken on. And it's beyond time for it to be spoken on. I might try to do this. I don't know. I don't want to just, you know, I might play it where they can hear it on the podcast. But it is a little while long. Let me see how long that is. It is, yeah, no, that's a 30-minute story. So we're not going to play that. But I am going to put it where people can see it. And I have another video that I did with the People's Advocate. She's been one of our former guests before. We did Dynamic Black History on her as Community Bridges. And she is a lived experience advocate that has been fighting up to the federal level And I really do commend this woman that has had to work through, and this is another area of discrimination. Not only do we deal with racism, not only do we deal with being marginalized, not only do we deal with classism, but also with this same situation of homelessness and telling the stories of poverty and homelessness, right? We deal with discrimination regarding our disabilities as well.
And then need to point out, Kennetha is the CEO and founder for homelessness, for the homeless people.
Yeah.
So a lot of what she's talking about has to deal with that. For those of you that don't know exactly who she is, she's also the founder of Visionaries Incorporated. She's the CEO or founder of that as well. So she is speaking on that line of experiencing what is going on and what's happening. And she's talking about the vision as well.
Yes, ma'am. And that's the thing, Miss Charlesetta, is like Visionaries Incorporated was being built. God brought it to me in 2011. Then I want to say about 2017 is when I knew to kind of, I started the nonprofit process. Right. And then I subsequently, while doing the work here in Nashville, Tennessee, that's what we're talking about, dynamic Black history right now. And this is really something historical that we are talking about because it deals with the state of Tennessee being in the Deep South and what a person goes through in the background where people feel like it's a power struggle on the person's end that's speaking the facts. But no, it's really a thing where they felt like I was trying to take something from them, and that's not even the case. I'm here and came back to work in this plight because of what happened to my family, and I didn't want to see any other families hurt. And so this one group that I'm talking about, and I was talking about earlier how I haven't said any names or anything like that. And I am going to put up everything that I have for what's going on with this because I do need some traction behind it. I do need support behind it. I do need people behind me that are not, I want to say, giving in to that stereotype and continuing to help oppress people, especially if you look like me. We know all kinfolk ain't skin. What is it? All skin folk ain't kinfolk is what the saying say. And that to me is something that goes back again historically, nothing new under the sun. We have seen infiltration. And I was thinking about it earlier because this thing is something, it hit me in the core of my belly. And again, I don't accept any negative energy sent my way for what happened. And the reason I'm speaking on this is because I saw an article, and also within the article, I saw a lot of similarities of what I talk about and what we have built. And I don't put a lot out about what we're doing, and the photo optics have never been for me because I saw that's a strategy that they use. That's how they build Black tokens, and that's how I was in that position, and I didn't know I was a Black token. And another thing that happened, Miss Charlesetta, why we're calling it dynamic Black history now, people don't know back in 2019, about I want to say actually 2018, because again, I was traveling as an organizer and spokesperson, first person to be an employee for that group, Homes for All Nashville. And so it's actually a video that one of my friend girls put out not too long ago, where she did Cashville Stand Up. That's one of the people we'll be featuring here coming up with her revamp. And she put the video out like, look at this lost footage. And we were talking about these things back then. I remember myself being one of the first court watch advocates in the city. Besides, the only other one I knew was the People's Advocate, because she's fought her case. First case she won was an abatement, which people really don't know what rent abatement is. If your dwelling is not livable, they have to fix it, and you could put your rent into an equity, and then you really can go back and buy the building when they do not cooperate and do what they're supposed to do. This is tenant education,
and I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what tenant education is: being transparent and letting people know what avenues they have. People don't know there's a program called Section 3 that will help you. It's been in Tennessee for 50 years. They've hidden it. Because if you're on Section 8, anything public housing wise, anything through MDHA, Housing Authority, all of that, you have the opportunity to start your own business. People didn't know that. And they hide that. I mentioned it at a meeting one time, and they like to try to shut the whole meeting down. This is what I'm talking about. These are the things that we experience in the background that people really don't even know happens. And again, we talking about the Deep South. And I was talking about that event in Atlanta. Look how historical this was. I took a van full of tenants on my own dime, $700. I remember renting the van, $700. We go up the street to Atlanta. I'm putting gas in. My husband was helping me drive, get people up there. And when we got there, I was trying to tell them about the whole situation that was happening in the background with Homes for All. I'm being accused of all kind of stuff. They sent a tenant to fight me. All type of stuff was happening in this background. And I started to notice the players in the background. And so I'm like, okay, let me take note of this. The Holy Spirit let me observe every single thing. And while he was teaching me, I had to go and be that organizer. And I had to go through that same thing. We just played Monday's Motivation, said that. And so in Atlanta, what happened, I'm trying to tell them that this is happening to me behind the scenes, and everybody plays like they just don't have any clue what I'm rambling on about. And I'm just so crazy. It's called gaslighting. I started talking about that. That's why I want you to go back on your own time and look at that video that I made. And it's a Me Too moment of racism. Because it's like, who else is going through this? And guess what? I was kind of going through it by myself, but subsequently, the People's Advocate was there, and she told me during that time and space, she was one of the tenants that went up to Atlanta. And so she was like, you know what? You trying to figure out what you did to those people, and you didn't do anything, and it's driving you absolutely crazy trying to figure out what you did to those people, and you didn't do a thing. She saw the whole thing and was able to tell me, and she was a tenant leader. And so it's like, come on, people, all this stuff. And what they get to do, they get to hit you and hide their hands as if they didn't do anything. And then they have their friends in places. It's very strategic. That's why I talk about power mapping. That's why I talk about a war room that we have for ourselves where no one can infiltrate. But anyway, and back to the ATL story, because this is the dynamic of the conference. It was over 4,000 people. 3 to 4 different languages were being spoken, and people were able to communicate through language justice is what it's called. And so we had indigenous people were in the room, people of Hispanic, African-American, white, everybody was in the room making solutions, talking, putting up on the wall what we're doing. I was facilitating. I remember somebody saying they were talking about the Black woman and how if you remove her from this fight, you have nothing. You have zero foundation when you remove a Black woman from all the things that she has gone through for so long back, for as long as we can account. I often think about that woman that they put on display when I think about video vixens and how they have the mindset of our children now. Because it's like You give people that mindset and try to put it in their eye gate, and then that's how you systemically continue to oppress our people. No, we calling it out. It's time out for that. And just to me, the audacity of what the people did during Black History Month, you put out some stolen intellectual property during Black History Month as if it's okay and you could just skate right past. It's not. And like the People's Advocate was saying, and just the audacity of them to try to file a lawsuit as well. But I'm gonna go back. I'm not off track. I know I went into a little piece right there, but that had to be said too. But going back to the Atlanta incident, I never, when I was traveling as an organizer and I would go across the nation speaking and telling my story, it's over 40 articles about my work. If you Google Kennetha Patterson, you're going to see all of it. Even my children know if they Google their names, then it's going to come up. Yeah. My 10-year-old is like, Mama, look, here go the homeless CEO. She loves talking about the homeless CEO and everything. But in Atlanta, this is what I'm trying to tell you about the dangers of what I went through with this Black tokenism or this ex-Black tokenism. So I never, when I went out, and a lot of times I would be by myself, but this time my husband was with me. So I'm like, okay, we're in Atlanta. I could go out, and some of the tenants were with me. So we were just trying to enjoy the city of Atlanta. And so the club that we were taken out to was like this underground type of thing. My soul was vexed then. I wasn't as sharp as I am now. Then I really was at a vulnerable, weak point, honestly, then. But I'm so glad I made it out. And that thing tried to take me out in multiple ways, 4 different ways. It's 4 different testimonies about these situations. But that particular one in Atlanta, so I know we ordered 2 shots of Grey Goose. That's what me and my husband had, right? And so I took a sip of mine. And I was like, you know what? I just don't want this. It didn't taste funny or no funny taste to it or nothing. I just simply, for some reason, didn't want it. I'm not a big drinker. And so he took mine and had his too. And I'm going to tell you what happened to my husband. And I thank God nothing happened to him. And I thank God that I didn't finish drinking my drink, because it would have took me out at my size. 4'11", whatever the weight is. They ain't nobody's business. But anyway, it would have took me out literally. I look back at this situation, and then I really didn't know what was happening, or that I was a Black token. But what happened in that club, I started to kind of, I don't want to say feel hazy, like I didn't get dizzy or anything, but you can tell when your atmosphere is changing or things ain't right or something is wrong. So I noticed in this big crowded club, first of all, the people I saw walking by, vision wise, I saw demons. And again, I was not sharp then as I am now in spiritual warfare. So it was some demonic stuff going on in that club. And so first of all, I don't know who put that stuff in our drinks, but like I said, a couple of the tenants were with us. I don't know if they knew that or not. But I started to notice my husband wasn't with me anymore. We're not going to separate. And so I'm like, okay, where's my husband? I start trying to look for him, and you really can't see through the crowd. I'm short, I can't see. That's like Zacharias in the tree. It got to climb up in the tree to see something. And so I finally find him outside, stumbling about. His shirt is off. He don't even know what's happening himself. So one of the tenants, she got the keys from us of the van we had rented. She got us back to the hotel. Once we got my husband back up to the room, he threw up. Thank God for that. Because guess what? It could have been brain damage. It could have been anything. He could have went crazy. Whatever they gave us could took either one of us out. And I praise God, we both made it out of that. And after that took place, I had been trying to tell these people, ran down the story. That's what I'm saying. That video that I'm going to put in in this message
'Cause
chat.
actually, they put something in your drink.
Yeah.
To take you out.
And then the thing about it, Miss Charlesetta, I always teach my children about that. Don't ever set your drink down. Never set the drink down. Watch the bartender make it. How did something get in that drink? Unless the bartender put it in there, or while we were standing there, somebody could have went over your shoulder, anything. I don't know how it got in there.
Because they knew that you was an advocate for the homelessness and the tenants.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to try to shut you down.
Yes, especially when you start to speak out about stuff. Remember, I said I was trying to tell them what's going on with me. And if it's a group of people that cares and they really are not performing as allies, they're going to listen to you and try to figure out what's going on. However, this is what happened. It's a network of friends. So therefore, I'm not going against my friend for you, this isolated Black person that we use to be viral and everything. Videos I used to do for them went viral. I done been viral before. I had a page where people were calling for me to be the mayor of Nashville. That was their friends. So the same little hype party club, I seen every bit of it, y'all. They have cheerleaders. I saw, and this is what's crazy. What I'm talking about, right? The article that I seen about this new statewide coalition, which is stolen. That's a stolen idea. And the bad thing about it is, Miss Charlesetta, I've tried behind the scenes to even, and this is the most dangerous thing I think you ever could do in life. And really, again, live an epistle, right? It's like going back into the lion's den. Literally. I've been in the lion's den for a minute, behind the scenes, like a good, I want to say 7 months. And what I did, I went in the lion's den quiet. I went in observing, because you don't never want to go in there you hooping and hollering.
Right. And they have taken your ideas.
Yeah.
And they want to make it seem like it's their ideas.
And you know what happens with that, Ms. Charlesetta? And it has been evident. You only can go so far with an idea that you didn't create.
Because they did not create the idea. It came from you.
So, yeah. So, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that have gone down in Nashville that I suggested in surveys, not just me, the People's Advocate. We have collaboratively wrote applications, and they tried to explain it the other day in a meeting about how they can't fund hopes and dreams. Well, why did you ask for a hope and dream in a proposal? Can you riddle me that? Yeah, it's just senseless, and it's something where it's not really anybody that you really can reach out to, even across all these different agencies that are set up for us. I have been telling people behind the scenes what happened, and again, that's exactly why it's a Me Too type of thing, because people will act like they don't believe you. Somebody was just talking to me about that on the standpoint of a disability, of how a person didn't believe them because they look a certain kind of way, but they really and truly still had a brain impairing ailment that they cannot function by way of their brain normally.
Right. So
And they
tear
ended
you
up
down,
yeah,
it looked like
in the
it's
midst.
because you've gone to CNN, you've been on the news,
Yes.
Raw News.
That was that same trip, Miss Charlotte, at that.
When you was on CNN.
When I was on CNN, that's a good point, Miss Charlotte. I'm glad you said that. Was on the steps of CNN, not of CNN, of Atlanta. We were talking about the Beltline. So guess what happened with that? All these different states came together with people power, went on them people's Capitol steps, and was protesting about the Beltline. Everybody came together.
Right, and that's when it was shown on CNN.
Yes.
So
my children were out there playing the drums. They little spin-off activists. You know, I've always tried to teach them, you know, about basically social justice and how you treat people. I'm glad I'm raising humans that will know how to treat people. And again, like I said earlier when I was doing the live, it's it's one of those things where they still look at us as 3/5 of a human. You're not looking at me as a full human if you operate the way that you do. And I have reached out to try to make things right. And I'm not even the one doing anything. Didn't do a thing but tell the truth. Didn't do not one thing. And please check me on where I have done anything. I need you to show me where I have done anything but speak the truth and be ridiculed for it, while speaking out against, what's going on in the deep south. Again, taboo conversation. Nobody wants to talk about it, but we have been here to talk about it. I remember when Dynamic Black History Now started, and it was when Miss Charlesetta brought that about the peach orchard.
Actually, Pastor Judy told us about it.
Oh, she's the one.
She's
Okay,
the one that brought it to the radio
My
station.
apologies.
Oh, that's okay. She's the one that told us the story about the
That's
what
where
went
it all
on in
started.
Mississippi. And I know I read it as well. And it's just amazing.
Oof.
It's just so amazing to tell that story of
Yes.
what happened. And it was I forgot the year, but slaves were free,
Finally emancipated.
and they caught over 30,000 slaves,
Mm-hmm.
and they put them in this big hole. It's like big old ditch that could hold that many people. And they starved them, they beat them, they didn't feed them. So what happened was peach trees started growing. And so nobody touches those peaches off the trees. But they are the most beautiful peaches that you ever want to see.
Yeah, it's strange fruit,
Strange
literally.
fruit.
Literally.
Right. And then Billie Holiday,
Wow.
she had came out with a song, Strange Fruit. She had seen the hanging of black men
Wow.
and women on the tree. So she called it Strange Fruit. And she would sing that song, and they did not want her to sing that song. So eventually, she got sick. We know the history
Yep.
of her addiction and everything, but she had gotten sick. And they really refused to help her. It's speculation because I don't know exactly how she died. The only thing I know is what we read, that someone had given her something to take her out. If
Wow.
it's true, I do not know. But
That speaks
they
volumes.
did not want her to sing that song, Strange Fruit.
Yep. And that's how that flows right into what we're talking about. Wow. And you know what, Anna, it makes me think about Miss Charlesetta. It gets so deeply traumatic. It is to the point where I kind of, I don't want to say I swore off those kind of grants, but I don't want to fill out anything like that anytime soon because I know what's going to happen. That what I'm writing down, I really cannot express myself in grants. That's a form of PTSD, where you know that this oppressive system is in the background attacking you, and there's no one to do anything about it besides you just take it.
And what you're trying to do, being an advocate for people, it's always going to be somebody that's going to fight against you.
Of course, yeah.
And you just have to remember, no weapon formed
Can
against you will
prosper.
prosper.
Yep. I
You
just
have
said
to
that
keep
earlier.
doing what God has put within you to do.
I tell you
Trust the process. It's happened to so many people in the past. They've gone out there. There's Martin Luther
Historical.
King, Malcolm X, all these men, great men of that time. It's always somebody to shoot you down.
Yep.
But the point is, you keep doing what you do to try to make things better.
Yep.
So that's what you have to do, is continue to hold your head high.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Do what God has told you to do. Do it to the glorification of God.
Only.
Do not fear.
Yep.
Do not be afraid. Stand the ground that God has put you on, because somebody needs your help.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
You are the voice for so many people. So you have to keep progressing. You have to keep moving.
Yes, ma'am.
It won't happen in a year.
Mm.
You know, time is on God's hand, not ours. We on God's time.
Yep.
And God's will be done the way God sees fit.
Okay.
But God knows what he put in you. You know what God put in you. It just didn't just get there. It's been there and it has to come out of you. It's like birthing a baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be
Phases.
easy.
Yep.
I like the video that you played about when we pray for faith. Believe me, you're going to go through something so you can get the faith you need.
Yes, ma'am.
You pray for strength and patience.
Wow.
Oh, you're going to have to go through something. When you say, I want love, how do you know what love is unless you had hate in your life
Okay.
or disappointment in your life to know what love is really all about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, our first love is our parents when we're born.
Mm-hmm.
We remember how they treated us and how they love us. That is experiencing love.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times our parents may stop us or may say, you can't do this. And then you think, oh, my mama don't love me, my daddy don't love me. But when you grow up and mature, you realize what your mama and your daddy was saying to you. Because you'll see that they were trying to protect you.
All along.
All along.
Yep.
So in this world that we live in, things are not going to be exactly how we want it to be, but it takes us as individuals to know the truth about our Savior.
Yep.
And we have to go with that because that is what's going to get us through in this life. Everything did not go back to the biblical days. Everything in the biblical days did not happen overnight. Moses.
Wow.
They was in the wilderness for 40 some years. Some gave up and some didn't. But they that wait upon the Lord, not some, not one. It didn't say a, it said they that wait upon the Lord. And that's how we have to be. When God puts it in us, continue to move forward. It may be a lifetime for what you're doing. It may take a lifetime. Bills have to be written into law. You have to go before Congress and the Senate sometime.
Yes.
But you got to go in there and fight a good fight.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to go in there knowing, get everything down, what you know, what you're talking about.
Yes.
But you need people that are going to be behind you and stand with you and see the vision that God has put in you.
Yes, Lord.
How many people stood behind Martin Luther King? He had a lot of supporters there for him. You need that too. You see, you need that too. Wow. Thank God for the disciples that was there with Jesus. You know, it's a learning experience for us.
Yes.
They went about, even after Jesus had died, which we know literally he didn't. But even after that, they continued to do what God had them to do.
Yes.
So the same thing with you. Those that are come up under you, under the leadership, under the guidance that God had put up on you, they will continue what you're starting to do.
Yes, ma'am.
They can go out into different branches.
Wow. Yes, ma'am.
So it's a process. Of course, they want to knock you down, tear you down.
Doing too much for solutions.
Yeah. But it takes a strong person. And everything you're going through is to make you stronger. Because it's going to take a strong person to stand up against the wolves and say, this is my calling. This is what God has called me to do. This is the vision he gave to me. I'm here for the homeless people. I'm here for the tenants that don't understand why these things are happening to them and the rules and regulations that they can go by.
Yes.
It just didn't happen overnight for you. It was a process.
Yes, ma'am.
And you will make it. You will continue to do what God has called you to do. Yes, ma'am. And why is that? Because he said, they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. No matter who's trying to tear you down, you don't give up. You keep fighting.
Yes, ma'am. They give you fuel.
I'm telling you, even when it seemed like the battle is lost. Oh, no.
That's right. God when it's getting started.
Win. Even if it, you can talk to 1,000 persons, 1,000 people. But if you can teach one person, just get to one person, and that one person get to one person, and that one person, it can turn into a multitude. I mean, a multitude. You have got to stay on the battleground. You have to stay on that battleground and fight a good fight. I mean, a good fight. And when
Yep.
you fight that good fight, God is with you. You will survive. You will make it. You are everything that God said you're going to be.
Yes.
And that's that.
Beautiful.
No matter what nobody said.
Mm-hmm.
They can't say you're too young. No, you're not. God can use young people. Read the Bible. Read Jerimiah. You
We
know,
just talk about
read it.
that.
I'm talking.
Yes.
You know, no, God can
Sarah
use
them,
you
honey.
however or how old you are.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah was 99, but the parable was behind it. You can't give up. If God promised you something, it's going to come to pass.
Don't take no shortcuts
Don't take
either.
no
Because
shortcuts.
she had done gave her husband away and
That's
wasn't
right.
supposed to.
But what did God do? He still blessed her.
Yes.
He
What do you
blessed
call that?
You know,
I don't want to say restoration, but he brought it. It's like recompense.
he brought it forward.
Yeah.
We
Period.
can't bring it forward,
Yeah.
but God can. And
Mhm.
how does he do that? A lot of times he uses us to do that.
Mhm.
So whether he put in you, you know, it's always going to be somebody. Oh, you're not
Wow.
educated enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're not this, you're not that. But
Mm.
God said, I'm the one to do the qualification.
Okay.
And we have to believe it. See, this is the thing.
Mm.
People are not going to believe us. But when we believe ourselves,
Mm.
and God knows this, that's what God is looking at.
Yep.
You got to look about how far you come.
Yep.
Not to give up, but to keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
You don't give up.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep fighting.
And I do want to say too, it's coincidental that what today is, it's very historical for me on so many accounts. I don't know if people can see my shirt, but I'm one of the cohort members of the seventh class of Liberty Collective Liberators.
All right.
And funny thing, Miss Charlesetta kind of talked about it a little bit, how you have to go to Senate, how you have to go to Congress.
That's right.
So I am one of the people, and this class is full of powerhouses. That's all I can say. It's like you know how people say they signed an NDA. It's that type of thing. I can't say too much about what's going on in there, but coincidentally, one of our assignments we had is about Harriet.
Harry Tubman.
Yeah, that rebel right there.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, God, that was a part of the assignment from God to have even that person to report back on, for one. And then for this to be a special edition today, and part of our assignment, the way we creatively visioned it ends up being that was a special edition too. God knows what he's doing.
God knows what he's doing.
He is the author, the finisher, the not confuser. Honey, he is not an author of confusion.
That's right.
And that's what this is. And again, like I said, we've been trying to make it right, and it's not even our task to do so. But the thing is, like Miss Charlesetta said, to the point of it's been so long and we've been through this repetitively, it's time to do right.
It's time to do right.
It's time to do right and release the proper funds, because what I have seen, and this is in every meeting, that they play like they don't know what I'm talking about, but everything that is missing is within that lived experience, that God experienced.
The God experience.
That God qualified the person. It is not about any degree.
And that's why I'm glad you brought up Harriet Tubman.
Yeah.
They laughed at her, threw dirt on her name.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something. It's not always about color.
No.
Your same race can do it to you too.
Yeah. That's what I said.
They will try to pull you down as well.
She had a spy that was telling her every whereabout.
What did Harriet Tubman do? She kept
going. Yep.
They ridiculed her, tried to kill her. But now today, she's history.
Wow, that's
she
powerful.
Made a mark on history because think of the people that she was able to get out of that bondage, and that God used her. And one thing that Harriet Tubman said, she said, I've seen the future. In other words, she's seen the vision. She said, our people will be free. Now, how long she had to live after that? But she did live in a time when slavery did end. But she was born into slavery. God gave her vision.
Yep.
And she kept with it, and she kept doing it. You know, can you imagine a woman out there going through the woods and snakes and probably some alligators,
Everything.
everything.
Yep. Anything
But
you
she
could have
didn't give
counted.
up. There
Yep.
were times she had to run barefooted,
Yep.
but she didn't give up, and that's how we have to do it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. If nobody wants to do it with you, you still do it.
Do the
Because
dogs
what'll happen
chasing
to
you.
you? That's
Yep.
right. God will send the right people your way.
Yes, he does.
Because he sent people her way
Mm-hmm.
to help her get the people across the river
Mm-hmm.
to where they need to be.
If she didn't take that one move.
She just kept on doing what
Yep.
God had told her to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to stay steadfast. And that's just the bottom line.
Wow.
To get through it, you got to stay steadfast.
Just something else. I tell you what, it's one of those things where it's meant to try to hurt your soul, but like you said, nope. Through the strength of the Lord, I'm not bothered.
Through the strength.
Through the strength
Now
of the
she's
Lord.
in history books.
Yeah.
They celebrate her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
They got a
She was
statue.
gonna be put on the $20 bill, but they, you know, they hurry up and try to
They stopped
intercept
it,
that.
but that's okay.
It still will. Yep.
We still know the history, even if they try to take it out of history books.
Mm-hmm.
As parents, grandparents, we still got to tell our children that history about
tell the
this
story.
lady.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. We have to tell the story. We have to continually tell the story. I know for me and my generation, it's a lot of things that got swept under the rug. And that was a normal see. No, it's not. That we have to speak on things. And especially if you want your children to know anything, I'm very transparent with my children. I don't know. I feel like I owe that much to them to let them know the things I never did know, and let them know before they get to my age, and then they finally figure it out. No, you get the tools earlier, and that way you don't fall into certain traps and snares, because the people before you, like how Miss Charlesetta is with wisdom, and how she's able to give me a different viewpoint, and I cherish that. And that's how we should be as a village, to cherish the wisdom. Then, like Pastor Judy says, the younger people for war. And just it's this flow that we can have that's very harmonious. And
everything we do it in love. You got to do it
period.
in love, period. That's the bottom line.
That's it.
You got to do it in love, and remember, you know, because God, you know, he is the creator of everything.
Yes.
He's the creator of us all. So everything we do, we move in love. Just like Martin Luther King, he was all about peace.
Yes, ma'am.
He wasn't trying to get guns and going there. He was all about peace, nonviolence.
Yep,
is what he was about. And we have to be the same way, even though there may be people trying to get rid of you, trying to destroy you. But nonviolence is the way to go.
Yes, ma'am. And you know what? That's what I was talking about earlier, Miss Charlesetta, where God was like, because a prophet had come to me during that time that I didn't know what I was doing to the people, right? And so what he told me, he said, it's a bullet upon their head if they don't leave you alone. And when I heard that, Miss Charlesetta, and this is me being a younger Christian too, and again, not being as sharp and not knowing really what was going on in the spiritual. And so when he said that, I prayed. I was like, oh God, no, don't kill them. You know what I'm saying? I said that. And then later on down the line, he sent someone else to tell me, you can't intercept those type of things. When someone was sent to give you a message about what was going to happen to that enemy that's trying to get in that camp. And then it's like, it's nothing we can do about what God does back to the people that are doing things to try to stop or block another person.
And it goes back to the word of God.
Yeah.
You know, when prophets and things come to me, I read the word.
Oh yeah,
that's where my word comes from the Bible.
Oh yeah.
Because if God can tell somebody else, he can tell me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
If I'm praying to God and I need to know something.
Yeah.
And yes, God can use people. He can use people. But what I'm saying is God's will be done.
Period. Yep.
Even my worst enemies.
Yeah.
I pray the best for them.
Yep.
I don't never want to see nobody suffer.
I don't. That's why I prayed in that moment, because I was like, oh God, no.
Nothing downhill on anybody.
Yeah. And
I want just, God to bless them.
Yeah.
Like he can bless me. Whether you like me or not.
Don't
I
matter.
am praying for you.
Yeah.
And I'm praying God's best for you.
Mm-hmm.
That is how we got to be. Because we
Yeah.
can't do an eye for an eye.
No.
Can't do evil for evil.
No.
It's all in God's time and in His word.
Yes,
Our
ma'am.
guide is the book. It's the Bible.
Yes, ma'am.
That's how God talks to us.
Wow.
That's the reason He tells us, vengeance is mine, says
Saith
the Lord.
Yep.
He will fight your battle for you.
Get out of that way.
Any dot that's coming for you,
Mm-hmm.
God can turn that dot around.
Yep.
And that's the only advice we need,
Protection.
really,
Yep.
is what's in the Word of God.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it tells us what God
Wow.
can do and will do.
And
Until
has
we
done.
get to the point to realize
Mhm.
that God is the one that's in control,
Mhm.
do we not know that God, see, we put a lot on the devil. Everything ain't the devil.
Mhm.
We don't know that God is turning tables for us.
Tribulation.
And tribulations and
Yep.
trials and all
It
this
just
is going
said
to
it
come
earlier.
because it's in His Word.
Yep.
You know, we hate to see these things like earthquakes and stuff, but this is a part of God's nature.
Okay.
We don't want to see nobody perish.
Mm-mm.
Nobody.
Yep.
But God is still in control,
Period.
regardless of what's going on.
No matter what
That's
it look
why
like.
He said,
Yep.
no weapon formed against you will
Shall prosper. Yep.
None whatsoever.
Overly agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our special edition for the pre-kickoff of Dynamic Black History Now.
Mm-hmm.
I just had one person send me their video, and I'm waiting on a couple more to come. So I'm gonna be practicing with this sharing of the screen.
And let us say again, send your 2-minute video.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to share it with our Black History Month. 2 minutes.
Yes.
Contact Kennetha Patterson. Go on I Have a Testimony page.
Mm-hmm.
Like that page. Become a part of that page. It's some very interesting thing. We share that page. It's not even just about us.
Mm-mm.
We share that page. So those of you that are listening, you got a testimony,
Yes, ma'am.
and you want to share it about Black History Month, send that 2 minute and we will play it. If we don't get to do them all, because we're going to be here for a while next when the Black History thing. We'll try to play as many as possible. If
Mm-hmm.
not, we will continue to play it on through.
Oh, I have to say, I'm glad you
Mhm.
said that, Ms. Charlesetta, and please forgive me,
Mhm.
Monique. I have to announce we are going to be on her Black History program the following day on the 18th.
Mhm.
And originally it was for us to do the panel there, but we kind of changed directions with what we were doing with Black History Now.
Okay.
But it is a canned food drive for moms over marginalized systems, which is Monique Shante Wells. Sorry, I was trying to say that too fast. And she is the CEO and founder, and
Yes,
she
she is.
also has had a lived experience with homelessness as well. So she knows that whole backstory
She is
herself.
a woman with testimony.
Okay,
I'm telling you.
a deep, beautiful testimony of resilience
And words of encouragement.
Yes, always encouraging somebody, always lifting us up. And just I'm excited to be a part. Miss Asia downstairs here at the Pruitt Library is a part of that program as well. She's phenomenal. Everybody here at the Pruitt Library is just so amazing. We love coming here. That's what we sitting right now in a historical firehouse.
Love it.
And they always welcome us anytime we come in this building. So I told Miss Kimberly, one of the librarians here, I was like, this is my favorite location, always for life. So we love being here and working in a community with them. It's a lot that I'm almost here every day now. And they don't never be ready to put you out or nothing. So just beautiful on everything that they have going on and what's to come. They've been building us for years in this community. Pruitt Library.
And like I said, it's in that 2 minute video, you know. And
can't wait.
We can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be already excited. The people that I reached out to, and they were like, yeah, we'll do it. Or they'll let me, it's stuff that they put out, and I'm like, okay, can I show that? And they're like, you ain't got to ask your family.
Let's go on.
Thank y'all.
Yes.
Thank you so much for that support. And like Miss Charlesetta said, backing up support behind anything we got going on. You know it's gonna be with the purest intentions. You know it's gonna be rooted in God, and you know it's going to grow into what it needs to be for the kingdom of God. Is what it's gonna be at the end of the day with us.
And remember that we want to be led by the Spirit of God.
Yes,
We want to be led by the Spirit of God. You know, because that's the only way to go.
Refreshing.
That's the only way we can go.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
So we're here once a week. We try to do it on Mondays because Kennetha does do Monday's motivation and everything. So when we're not able to come on Monday, that's a good thing about a podcast. Whatever day that we can come on, whatever time we can come on, we can just redo it.
Yep.
So we may pop up anytime, but catch us on YouTube, catch us on, I have a testimony page, and Facebook and
Spotify, iHeartRadio.
Yeah, iHeartRadio. You know, and this is the beginning of our starting our television show. So just, you know, just stay there, connect with us, because that's what it's about, connecting with one another.
Yes, ma'am.
And supporting one another.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
you know, yeah.
Beautiful.
So until next time, we want you to be blessed, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.